And at some point or time in your life, you've got to stop trying trying to do things, because trying can become the problem. You don't need more motivation. You don't need somebody else to coach you or mentor you. You don't need another reminder. You don't need somebody to say, hey, listen, you got to do this, you got to do that. What you need at this point, you need a decision. That's right. You need a decision. See, trying is a temporary thing, but identifying with something, that is permanent. So here's what happens. People trust the process, okay? That's the start of it, but that is not the finish of it. And what I want to really do on today, I want to delve deep into, getting into this thing about trusting the process, because it's very powerful. It is, and you need that in the beginning. And here's why you need it in the beginning: because you have no proof of your process. You have no receipts, as my kids like to say. And so what we want to do, we want to get in there and we want to get started. We want to plant the seed. We want to nurture the seed. We want to show up even when there's no results. We want all of that, because that is truly trusting the process. And you're doing the work with no accolades, nobody's applauding, and it doesn't even seem like anything is happening. But what you got to understand is that's going to require the trust. That's why we started with trust the process. But at some point or another, you've got to get out of that trust phase, because otherwise you'll get stuck in the trusting the process, trusting the process, trusting the process. Now, I'm a big person, I am, on trust the process. However, if you're still working at trusting the process and you're still asking questions like, hey, should I keep going with this? Or is this working? Or any of those type of questions, here's where you're at. You're in a point of uncertainty. And uncertainty is going to lead you into inconsistency. And inconsistency will lead you into questioning the process instead of committing to the process and trusting the process. So we want you to trust the process at the beginning. And I've said that all along. But now, here's what I want you to get. I want you to become the process. Well, here's the real problem. And I'm going to lay it out for you simply as I know how. The real problem is that you keep renegotiating. What do I mean by that? Well, I'm going to challenge you here. I'm telling you right now, today, I'm going to challenge you, because it's time for us to grow up. It's time for us to graduate. It's time for us to do it. Your process is not failing. Okay. Your process is working, but the problem and the challenge is you keep renegotiating it. What do I mean? Well, you wake up on a Monday morning and you say, well, I'll restart next Monday. Or you'll say something like, I just don't feel like it today. Or maybe I'll do it later. See, this is not a discipline problem. I'm telling you, it's not that you lack discipline, because that's what people will tell you. People will say, you lack the discipline, you lack the commitment. No. Here's what you lack. It's not a discipline problem. You lack a decision. Every time you renegotiate your process, you reset your progress. I'm going to say that again. Every time you renegotiate your process, you reset your progress. Every time you have to renegotiate a standard, you got to go all the way back to the beginning and start all over again. And this is what keeps most people bound. This is what keeps most people in that same spot all the time. Remember, I shared with you a long time ago, I said, when you first start something, it is 90% physical and 10% mental. But then at some point, you got to have what we call the 90-10 switch or the 90-10 flop. In other words, it's got to become 90% mental and 10% physical. But most people keep working the physical aspect of it all along, and they're stuck in trusting the process, so they never become the process. And that's what I want for you. I said, you do not have a discipline problem. Let me give you some real world examples here. And I want you to think about these for a minute as I go through them. See, in the real world, if you skip one workout, it is much easier to skip the next. Oh, yeah, sure it is. Because now you skip one. So that's renegotiating. That's saying, hey, I'll start over again next Monday. And every time you're setting yourself back, you've got to get out of that. If you miss one gym day, Now you question your consistency. Am I really about this? Am I really committed to this? Am I really going to do this? And I understand because, I understand that there are seasons where other things come up in your life and you have to reprioritize. But you always have to have in the back of your mind that I am not going to renegotiate this. Wherever I dropped off at, I'm going to pick it right back up from there, and I'm going to keep moving. I'm not starting over on Monday. I'm not going to do it later. I am going to do it right now today. I'm going to be present-minded. I'm going to get after it, and I am going to keep moving forward. No more renegotiating. The deal is cut. The deal is set, and I am moving forward. I'm not breaking my standard because I understand that if I break a standard, I become very flexible. I become very inconsistent. No. My standard is still this, and I am going to hold on to it. I am going to become the process. No longer do I trust the process. I am the process. And see, when you get to that point, identity with the process, when you become the process, that changes everything. You know why? Because I said this once before, and I'll say it again. High performers don't rely on their feelings. Because here's what we understand. Sometimes you're going to feel like it. Many times you may not, but that's okay. It doesn't matter if I feel like it or not. I am going to continue to move forward. Why? Because this is who I am. I'm no longer trusting the process. I am the process. And because of that, I now identify with the process. So I don't debate things about my identity. Who I am, I don't debate that. Let me show you what I'm talking about. You do not wake up in the morning and debate and say, do I feel like brushing my teeth today or do I not? I don't know. You don't do that. You're not debating that. Why? Because brushing your teeth in the morning is who you are. It's who you identify with. And so there's no debate in that. You get up, you brush your teeth, and you start moving forward because you understand it's not optional. It's not whether I feel like it or not. It's not, I don't know if I really need to do that or not. No. Because remember what I said, discipline will get you started, but when you make an identity with something, you keep going. You don't need anybody to encourage you. Even when it doesn't look like anything is working, you are still on it. Why? Because I am the process. I don't trust the process. I am the process. I have graduated from trusting to knowing to commitment to consistency and doing it every time. See, here's what I'm talking about. I'm not going to be sitting up here talking about I try to work out. No, I work out. I'm not trying to be a leader. No, I lead. And not only that, I lead from the front. And, it's not like whether or not I feel like executing today. It's not whether I feel like doing it today. I do it. Why? Because I understand this. It is my identity. It is who I am. And identity removes all emotion from execution, and I get the job done. And that's how I do it. Because you got to understand something. That when you make, a connection with the identity of something, like I am David Worthy. There's no doubt about that. There's no changing that. That's who I identify with. So guess what? I do what David Worthy does, and I get it done, irregardless of how David Worthy feels about it. I'm going to get the job done. And there are plenty of mornings I wake up and I don't feel like it. Oh, yes, there are. But guess what? It does not matter because feelings are all emotional. Because this happened to me this past week. It was a very hectic week, had a lot going on, but guess what? It did not matter. You know why? Because David Worthy gets the job done. That's who he is. That's his identity. So when I got up in the morning and I wasn't feeling it, it did not matter. I got up, I got myself dressed, and I did the things that I need to do because that's who I identify with. I get the job done. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. All the emotions, all the feelings. Yeah. Was I tired? Yeah. Did I not feel like it sometimes? Yes. Did I not want to deal with people sometimes? Absolutely. But guess what? It did not matter. Why? Because David Worthy's identity, who he is consistently, is getting the job done. Now I'm going to tell you, this is where you make your mistake at. This is where you sabotage yourself at. This is where you set yourself up for failure at. You keep looking for results. What do you mean? It's sabotage, okay? Here's what people do. They do the work, but then they go check for the results too soon. Like, where's the results at? Where's the results at? And I have shared with you and said this, all right? You have to understand that it is a process in the process to get the progress. So I understand that this is who I am, and I understand that if I stay committed to the things of the process, the progress is going to happen. I'll share an example with you. Just happened this week. My students in the NJRTC program, they've talked about they wanted to be awarded a Gold Cup, which means this right here. They're one of the top schools out of 22 schools. So I told them, I said, listen, put your head down, go to work, do the things that a Gold Cup standard unit will do, and you will get a Gold Cup. But if you keep looking at the score sheet, you keep looking back and saying, maybe we should, you're now hindering your progress from being what you want to be. And so what we did, I constantly remind them, do what's important now. That's how you win. Do it. Become a Gold Cup standard unit now. Don't worry about the score. And so in the end, when it came time for the award, they were one of 5 schools that received a Gold Cup. You know why? Because they were focused on what's important now. That's how you win every day. What's important now? You get that done. You make that your identity. You quit going back and looking for validation. You quit going back and checking and seeing if it's working. You quit asking those questions about, should I try something new? And what you do, you stay with it. Because every time you do that, you sabotage yourself. You go, and it's like, the best way I know how to do it, because, I'm a front porch farmer, and the best way I know how to do it is like this. This is the best example I can give you. I put seed in the ground, and then the next day I go push the dirt back and look and see if that seed's doing anything. Well, I didn't see anything, so I cover it up. Okay. And then I go back a couple of days later, I dig it up. I'm not helping the seed to grow. I'm interrupting the growth thereof. And that's exactly what people do in their life when they're checking for results all the time, when they're looking for accolades all the time, when they're checking the scorecard all the time. Do the things that you need to do. Become that thing. Become it. Become it right now. Commit to becoming it. And watch this right here. Everything else will take care of itself. High performers focus on their reps. That's what they do. Reps create results. And so it's not about emotion. It's not about I have an option. It's not about instant feedback. It's about the decision. Here's the shift that we have to make when we trust the process. We got to stop saying, I'm trying to trust the process. We got to stop saying that. What do we got? Well, what do we start saying? We said this right here, that I am the process. Okay. I am that. Why? Because here's what you got to do. You need 3 things. This is all you need. If you'll do these 3 things, you'll be fine. Number 1, you do what you do daily, no matter what. You got to make that decision. You got to have that no matter what attitude. Oh, it's raining outside, so I do what I need to do no matter what. Oh, it's a little bit cold outside, so I do what I need to do. And then number 2, you got to ask yourself, who am I becoming? Am I becoming the process? And if I am, then I'm on the right track, because I don't need anybody to pat me on the back. I don't need anybody to applaud. I don't need anybody to do anything. Why? Because I understand this. I am the process. And so therefore, I've already achieved the things that they're going to clap for. I say it like this. All you're doing now when the accolades, the trophies, and all that stuff comes, you're just letting everybody else know that, hey, I already knew this. I was already working at this, and you're now getting to see the results of my work, of my commitment, of my level of trust in my process. That's what you're getting to see. So, and then here's the final thing. What standards do you refuse to break? There's no longer, I'm trying to do this. No, it is, this is who I am. I don't break my standards. I am the process, and I know that I am becoming more and more and more of those things. So as I wrap this series of lessons up, I want to share this with you right here. Trust is going to get you started. That's why we started there. Trust the process, but it will not sustain you. Okay, it will not, because at certain times your trust can be shaken if you allow it. Feelings can change, you know they can, and motivation at some point or another is going to disappear in the heat of the grind, and all of that is going to disappear. But my identity, oh boy, my identity, it is stable. It does not change. Guess what? I woke up yesterday morning as David Worthy. I woke up this morning as David Worthy. And I know this for sure. Tomorrow morning, I am going to wake up as David Worthy. So that identity is sure. So when you move from trusting the process to being the process, you're going to wake up knowing this is who I am. So stop trying to trust the process. Become the person the process creates. Now, I hope that helped you on today. That's it. That's the key to the whole thing. And we worked several weeks to get here, but we are here now. What's that song said? Started at the bottom, now we're here. Yes, that is us. We are here. Become the process. Listen, I felt real good giving this to you on today, and I know that it's going to help you. I'm going to ask you to do something. I'm going to ask you, if you would, please share this with someone, because people need this and they need to move to that level. And when you move to that level, great things are going to happen in your life. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for sharing. And I want to say this right here. Remember this right here. Remember this. You are the architect of your life. I'm Coach David. I believe in you. I'll see you on the next time. You have a great one. Bye.